Hello, everybody, and welcome to this very special webinar because today I'm going to be talking about the brand new activity, which is called the association, also known as the matching activity. So, for those of you who may not know me, my name is Clara Ponson. I'm the sales marketing manager here at Beekast. And before we start, I'm just going to make sure that everyone can see and hear me. So, I'm seeing in the chat. Don't hesitate to tell me if you have any problems seeing my screen or hearing me. I'll make sure to get back to you on that or maybe try to fix anything in any way I can. All right, so just to show you a little bit what we'll be talking about when it comes to this new activity. So, first of all, I'm going to do a quick introduction and then we're going to go ahead and power through, moving on to why I think you're going to love this activity. So, I'll give you a couple of the added values that comes with the association activity. And of course, then we'll get into the heart of this webinar, which is showing you how the association activity works. So this will be the part where I'll share my screen and kind of give you a quick demo on how you can create an association. And finally, just to get you guys inspired, I'll show you some key examples because, of course, we'll be seeing that the association can be used a lot when it comes to training and education, but there are a whole bunch of other ways that you guys can use this activity. And of course, we'll conclude if there are any questions. This will be a quick Q&A where I'll try to answer any questions that you guys may have. All right. And of course, I'll be checking in regularly in the Livestorm chat. So if you guys have any questions or want to ask anything, make sure to give me a sign and I'll head on over to the chat and answer any questions you may have. So to get us started with a quick intro, the question that I wanted to answer here is why did we decide to come out with this new activity? So, first of all, it was just a logical follow up to the new interface. For those of you who may not know, we recently came out with a new, completely new interface when it comes to Beekast. And what was great about this new interface is that it allows us to create new features and activities in a much quicker and simpler way. And this is something that we wanted to do for a while, and the new interface has been out now for a while now as well. And so it just seemed like the logical next step for us. Once we now have this great new interface, and we wanted to start challenging ourselves by creating new activities as well. And of course, these new activities, when we were kind of picking and choosing what was going to be our first activity on this new interface, we told ourselves that we wanted to renew training courses. We have a lot of trainers, a lot of our clients, a lot of you here today, maybe trainers or teachers and professors. And so it was important for us to allow you to kind of renew your training courses and offer up new pedagogical approaches when it came to using Bcast on a daily basis with your learners and students. And by doing this, when we're talking about renewing training courses, it all comes down to offering a wider variety of assessment activities. So in Bcast, you have two types of activities. You have just your normal activities that allow you to collect ideas and opinions and kind of collaborate together and be more productive. So, for example, this is going to be with the matrix activity or the word cloud, the survey, the form. But then you have assessment activities, also called evaluation activities. And these are the types of activities, as you can see below on the slide that I'm sharing with you, that's like the ranking, the MCQ, the challenge. These are activities where there is a right and wrong answer, and your participants have to find the right answer. So here you're going to be testing your participants' knowledge and kind of help them retain the information. And we only had three activities like this, and we thought it would just be a great time to add a new one called the association. And now I'm just giving you also a sneak peek, as you can see, on the next activity that will be coming out, which is called Find on Image. And this will be also an assessment activity that you guys will be able to try very soon, hopefully in the upcoming months. So make sure to stay in touch with us through our social media to learn more and be ahead and just get to know when we launch this new activity. And so coming back to this um, matching activity, association. Why I think you're going to love this activity is because, first of all, it really allows you to engage your learners. So of course, when we're going through a training course, when we're preparing a class, what's important for us is to make sure that we're offering up new types of content in order to engage and re-engage learners. And what we see with the association activity is that because it's an assessment activity, there's kind of this quiz or challenge idea to it that makes it easier to engage your learners because they're not just going through the motions of sharing an idea or kind of passively looking at what others are doing. They are actually interacting with you because they have to answer, they have to get the right answer in order to get the points throughout the session. So, this is also a great way to make sure that your learners are paying attention to the content. Also, because this is an activity that has images and text and it's very interactive because you're going to have to kind of drag and drop and connect ideas to other to other facts or ideas or questions, well, this is going to really help facilitate memorization. And I'm sure that if there are any trainers or teachers with us today in this webinar, you'll all agree that information retention is definitely a key part of any teacher's or trainer's job, because when we're creating these types of courses, what's important is sharing our knowledge but also making sure that the people in front of us understand this knowledge and are also able to retain it in order to use it further down the line. And finally, I also found that this activity was great for encouraging creativity because, once again, as I said, you guys have the possibility to add images and text and kind of have different types of wordings and things like that. And so it's super interesting because for the first time, an association activity, you're never going to have the two that are the same. So that's pretty fun. And I think that you'll see for teachers, but also for the learners, it's just a great way to kind of boost creativity and have a new approach to learning. So now I'm going to switch over and share my screen. So you'll be seeing the Beekast act. You'll be seeing my Beekast session, but directly from the owner's point of view, so my point of view. And as you can see, you have a couple more. You have a little bit more information. You can see my slides to the left, and you can see some of the features on the right. And I'm now going to be showing you how you can create your association activity. So first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and click right here or on add a slide. As you can see, I have my little plus sign that appears if I want to create a slide here, or I can just click on here. But I'm going to go ahead and click. And then I'm going to scroll down looking at the different activities. Its association right now is very easy to find because you have that little new button. So go ahead and click on that. And automatically, we kind of have a lot of new things happening. For those of you who may be frequent Bcast users, you know that when you're creating an activity, everything is happening in this right area right here in this space called the activity parameters. This is where you're going to be setting up your activity, choosing the title, writing down the answers and choices, and kind of making sure that everything is set up before you launch the activity. So even the save button would normally be down here. For the association activity, we rethought everything because we wanted to make it easier for you guys to create. And so what we did is, as you can see, this activity parameters area is so much smoother and easier. There's a lot less information, which just is so much nicer when you're going to be creating. And so what happens is the settings that you do have in this space are the ones that you already know. So it's, for example, choosing whether your participants are going to see the results of the activity right after they answer or only at the end of the activity. So after um, the activity has been kind of closed or answered completely. And then you can also choose your time management. This is also something that you'll find in every Bcast activity. So you can go ahead and add, for example, a timer or a stopwatch to kind of monitor the activity and make sure that no one is spending more than 5 minutes on it. So this is my setting. These are my settings. And when I'm building my activity, everything is now going to be happening in the middle part of my screen. So the center space. And I think you'll find that this makes it so much easier to create and build the association. So as usual, I can go ahead and add a title to my activity. So here, for example, it could be match the city to the country. And as usual, since this is an assessment activity, I can give it a score. So, how many points will my participants be earning once they answer the activity, and if they get the right answer, also? So, for example, I can say that this activity is worth 5 points or 10. I'm going to go for 5 and confirm. And then I can start adding my proposals. So for example, here I could say, so the city would be Paris, and then the country is going to be France. When you're setting up your activity, of course, make sure that you are giving the right answers. So Paris does have to go with France. That's the correct answer. And then once you've saved and launched the activity, your participants will see this activity kind of mixed up. So of course they won't be saying they won't see Paris and France right next to each other. It'll kind of be mixed up. So it's easier for them. Well, it's actually harder for them, but it's easier for you because everything is automatically generated for you to play the activity. So remember that you can also add instructions right here if you wish to give them a little bit more information on what they have to do in this activity. Once I've kind of given all of my propositions, I can go ahead and save. So here I have Paris, France. We could say New York with the United States of America. And of course, you can add as many associations as you wish. I'm going to go for 2, so it's very easy for you guys to see. Actually, I'll go with 3 because it'll make it a little bit harder. So let's just go ahead and imagine Venice with Italy. All right, perfect. So I'm saving my activity. Here it is. And of course, I could have added pictures. I'll show you guys what that looks like in the following slides. But right now, just doing it very simply, I've just created an association. So here I can say start activity. As always, I have my little countdown that's happening. And here I am as a participant, and it's up to me. As you can see, these are no longer in the right order, of course, makes sense. And I can go ahead and try to find the right one. So I'll do this, and then just to show you guys what happens afterwards, let's say that I get these wrong. So as you can see, don't forget to validate your answers. The participant will have to click on send your answers to make sure that, because right here they can still kind of change or edit them. So make sure that you click on that button. Once that's done, you immediately see if you got the right or wrong answer. So as you can see here, it told me that I answered incorrectly, of course. And it immediately tells me that actually New York was B, so USA, as you can see, and Venice was A, Italy. And I can see the amount of participants that got the right and wrong answers. Since I'm the only one here that participated, you can see that I'm the only one that got an incorrect answer right now. But if you have 20 participants, this will be the area where you can kind of see who got the right answer and who got the wrong answer. All right. So moving on, I'm going to switch back to this screen, which is just a lot nicer for you guys to see. And I'm making sure that no one has any questions so far. Nope, I think it's all clear. So that's good to know. And we can keep going. So now I wanted to share with you 3 examples to kind of inspire you, because I feel like when we're talking about assessment activities, the idea that we usually get is that the only way I can use an assessment activity is to assess, which makes sense because that is kind of the first purpose of these types of activities. But what I find is that there are actually a lot of different ways that you can use an assessment activity. You can still do a fun icebreaker. You can use it for an onboarding. You can use it, of course, to train your employees. You can, of course, create fun quizzes. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do this. And to show you what that would look like, here is an icebreaker in but through an association activity. So here I am going to be asking my participants to find here we go. There we go. I'm going to be asking the participants of my session to match their names with their corresponding story. And the way that I'm doing this, as you can see, is I just added the name of each participant. Each person in my meeting, for example. So Jade, Benjamin, Camille, and Ghislaine. And then you each person is going to have these four options and they have to guess who did what. So, for example, was it Jade who swam with dolphins, or is it Jade who has a black belt in judo? And it's up to me to find the right answers. So this is a pretty fun way that you can kind of start a meeting, have people kind of get to know each other in a different way. And because this is a quiz, it may also kind of spark a little bit of healthy competition where everyone kind of tries to ask questions to get the right answer or things like that. So I highly recommend you use this activity to break the ice at the beginning of any type of interaction, whether it may be a small event or a meeting or even a training session. The association can be a great way to do that. Next, we have onboarding or training. You'll see that these kind of blend together because the idea here is when you're onboarding a new employee, you want them to kind of familiarize themselves with your company, your product, your competitors, the market. And in order to do this, you could imagine giving them a quick quiz at the end of their onboarding process in order to have them kind of test their new knowledge and make sure that they understood certain key parts of your company or your product. And so a way to do this, and let me show you right now, just making sure that you can see that. Yes, perfect. So way to do this is simply by asking them to say, well, for example, I gave them a definition. So for example, view the actions to be taken, and they have to match that definition to the right Beekast feature. So for example, what are participant scores? What can they help me do? What is the discussion space? What can I do in the discussion space? And this is a way for them to kind of go ahead, drag and drop to get the right answers. So this is also a fun way to kind of go through an onboarding process because you'll be giving them so much information at the beginning that it can be nice to kind of have them interact and make the kind of see the definitions and try to match them to the correct features. Or you could do this with any type of subject, whether it may be products or markets or competitors, anything like that. So I highly recommend you do this in your onboarding. It can be a fun way to kind of renew the onboarding experience. And finally, this is a much simpler use case, I guess, but I do think that it's really nice for if there are any teachers out there, any professors. You could also ask people to take part in a simple activity such as matching the city to its landscape. And let me make sure that this is popping up for you guys. There we go. It's showing up slowly but surely. That's my internet connection right there. Perfect. All right. So last example, as you can see, I used images this time. So here I'm asking my participants to match the landscape, which is the picture, to the correct city. Here you're seeing the right order, of course, because the activity isn't launched, so it's not mixed up yet. But in a participant view, of course, they'll have all of let me just share that with you so you can see it. That way, when I'm giving you the idea, here we go. Sharing this screen right here. Perfect. All right. So as you can see, when you're a participant and you have to answer this activity, this is what you're saying. So here I can choose Paris and drag it to what I think is the Paris landscape, not taking a huge risk with the Eiffel Tower, but that's the answer I'm going for. And yeah, it's just a very easy way to kind of use images and text together. Please note that you can also decide to use images and text in one bubble. So right here, I only added a picture, but I could decide to add the picture and then add a little bit of text. This may make it a little harder to read, so make sure that you kind of test and learn and see what works for you, depending on the images that you use. If you have a lot of things happening in a picture, you may not want to add any text around it because it might be hard to read or hard to see the picture. So there you have it. And that is all I had to show you guys today surrounding the association activity or the matching activity, whichever you prefer. I hope that you enjoyed this webinar. I can see that there haven't been any questions, so I'm going to give you guys just a couple minutes, couple seconds to tell me if it was clear for you. If you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. That's what I'm here for, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And yeah, I do hope that you guys were inspired by some of these examples. I do think that it's a great activity, especially the fact that everything happens in the center part of our screen now when we're building the activity. It makes it a lot easier and a lot more visual. And I hope that you guys will want to try kind of play around with that. And yeah, if you do have any other questions, we of course have an article in our support website. So our team has kind of come up with articles that'll help you create the activity and that'll answer any questions you may have. And even if you have more questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'll be happy to answer no matter who on the team sees the question. You'll be in good hands. All right. Well, without further ado, I see that there are no questions. I'm going to take that as a really good sign and say that everything was perfectly clear and that you guys are very happy with this webinar. So thank you so much for attending today. I hope you guys have an excellent rest of the day. And of course, you'll be getting a replay of this webinar. So for those of you who may have missed out on this webinar, who couldn't make it to the live session, you'll be getting a replay in your inbox very soon. Thank you all so much for being here today. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you very soon for another webinar. Goodbye.